Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Los Angeles Lakers go down 111-102 in Minnesota to the Minnesota Timberwolves to go down 0-5 on the season to start. And, the vibes on this game is totally different. I gotta say, there are so many different ebbs and flows to what these first 5 games have given us. Some games you're upset, other games you feel hopeful, other games you're like, okay, other games it's like, something else. This game for me was sad. This was sad. This is when you understood that you just are limited. Guys played hard, guys played well, guys played to their strengths, and guys still lost. And a lot of that had to do with the absence of Anthony Davis, which I supported because I felt like his back wasn't ready, and I was screaming we definitely should not play him. So I'm not gonna, uh, just butcher him for not playing. I don't think that that's the approach, but what you do say is if he were able to go, that's what was missing from the win there. And that's what was missing. It's basically whatever the production he would have gave us. Rudy Gobert went for 22 and 21. I think Rudy Gobert got a whiff of what Laker Nation was talking about in regards to that trade. I think he wanted to give it to us on a personal level because he ain't put up no 2020 game in a very long time. So it's one of those things where it's like, not only that, but we got to understand we're not able to line up Anthony Davis. He understands he got Karl Towns next to him. That just makes life real easy when you know if you're going up against a team that doesn't have the size. And that's what we were. We started the game with Damian Jones, and I told you guys, Damian Jones is a very limited basketball player. He was a minus 19 tonight, even though he had some production. He's just not, let's be real. And so we had him out there. Things weren't really working out. We kind of got away from him in the fourth quarter, and they were able to further take advantage of our size issues by shooting over us. As I've been saying, we've had issues with all 5 of these games. I know our roster is limited, but Darvin is going to have to understand that you cannot get away with size disadvantages out there. You can't get away with it. You're going to have to give up something else, because whatever it is you're trying to supplement by having shorter players out there, it's not working, brother. It's not working. This Patrick Beverley experiment is a nightmare. It is a nightmare. My man is doing great things on the defensive end. I'm not a fool. I know what his strength is. He's doing what he does. But on the offensive end, he is killing us so bad, it ain't even worth talking about. He's taking more away from us than he's giving us on the defensive end, man. And it's happening every night now. It's getting to a point where it's like, y'all know I'm a Patrick Beverley fan. I'd have brought him here, but I had a plan for him. I was going to bring him in the second half of the season. It's because I wanted to see how he was going to look at the first half of the season. I didn't want to be the team that's testing out this to see that he's at this place. I didn't want to be the team to find that out. I wanted another team to find that out. And then from us to pick him up in the second half of the season when we knew we were a championship caliber team and could actually use him properly. Right now, we're trucking him out there to do things that we shouldn't be asking him to do. And as a result, he's struggling, and it's a sad sight. It's a sad sight. He's going back to the team that he was just celebrating about 3 months ago. This is the team that, he helped lead to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. And he went into that building and he just didn't have nothing for him. In terms of our competition level, being able to make him feel good about going back into that building. We didn't have nothing. We fought hard. I thought we played well, but we just don't have the talent and size to beat them. Without Anthony Davis being fully healthy, we don't have a shot. And so I just felt sad. I thought guys were fighting hard. Troy Brown was hitting threes, 4 out of 6, I believe it was at one point. I think he missed one after that last time I saw his stat, to be honest with you. But he shot the ball well from 3. Austin Reeves shot the ball well from 3. Got a couple assists off. He was the plus in the plus minus. Wenyen Gabriel got big minutes and good things happened. As I told you guys, he was fantastic. As soon as he came in the game, he was getting stops. As soon as he came into the game, people started reacting to his size in a negative way for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He created problems for them. And when he sat down in the fourth quarter, that's where they were able to get their lead back and started pulling away. We put Damian Jones on the floor instead of him, and things went left. It just was what it was. We didn't have Juan Toscano Anderson out there. He's also nursing injuries, so that's also a part of why Rudy Gobert was able to just destroy us, because the size that we normally have wasn't there. Thomas Bryant out. I mean, when you assemble a roster you gotta know that some of the centerpieces that you're gonna need, you gotta be aware of what their injury history is and how much you can actually afford to lean on those guys. Because if you bring them in just because they're affordable pieces, but you need those pieces and you can't rely upon them for that reason, here we are. We get this. It's just the choices we make, man. That's what I was thinking to myself as I was watching this game, seeing my team hustle. Russell Westbrook was playing hard. You know, I thought he played a good game. But you know what it ended up with at the end? Him dribbling out of bounds off his foot. It's just he's a broken player, y'all. Even when he played well, he's broken. I thought this was one of the best games he played as a Laker. And if you don't look now, 2 of the last 4 games he's played were 2 of the best games he's played as a Laker. Because you remember I said that 04-11 game was one of the best games I've seen him play as a Laker, for which I thought his defense was fantastic. And I thought his defense was pretty good tonight, too, on top of some really good offensive strikes. He hit the ball. He hit a 3 here tonight, got to the line, or should have gotten to the line. That's another thing we're going to talk about. But Drew did his part, did his in terms of getting aggression going. And so I thought Russell gave us everything we could ask for. Given all of that's been going on and all that we've been saying, I wasn't unhappy with him. But I was just sad for him because he really is a broken player, man. It just is what it is. LeBron James, 4 steals, 28 points I think he had. I wasn't unhappy with LeBron's play. I felt sorry for LeBron in the 4th quarter because he didn't have the size to compete. He's driving to the lane and they're not giving him the calls. And Rudy Gobert's just shooting the ball over him, rebounding over him. LeBron is not a big, y'all. I know everybody who's listening to me knows that because we say that twice a day. But LeBron is not a big. And at the end of the day, if you're going to have him out there trying to bang around with people who are centers for real, you're going to have 21 and 22. That's what you're going to have out of Rudy Gobert. 21 and 22. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, your front court, and you're going up against Karl Towns and Rudy Gobert, you get this. That's a roster issue, man. That's just a roster issue. That ain't got nothing to do with guys playing hard. You could scream at dudes about what they didn't do, talk about the mistakes they made, but man, that ain't why they lost. They lost because they ain't had the talent on the floor to compete with the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're leaning too much on players who can't help us because we're trying to pay players who are limited in their injury concerns. A guy like Anthony Davis, you can't have a 30-year cap going to Anthony Davis. We've been trying this for 3 years. How has it worked out for us? Now, 4 years, we got a championship out of it. In 3 years, he's missed almost 50 games a year. And we got to trade the guy, man. I'm sorry. I'm just going to tell you where I'm at right now as a Laker fan. We're 0-5. The pieces that we have are not good enough for us to even compete and get a victory. LeBron James is taking too much punishment. And Anthony Davis is sitting every other night. We need to trade Anthony Davis right now. It ain't because we're unhappy with him. It's because he's playing well. We don't have a future right now. And this path is headed nowhere. We're headed nowhere, man. Half of the team that we have, basketball IQ, is not good enough to even make the playoffs, in my opinion. I'm watching dudes down there doing stuff they got no business doing. They're not up to par, man. And, you know, I feel like in my head I have solutions, but I don't know if it's as simple as what it is that I illustrate in these videos, which is buy a couple guys out that should not be here anymore and call a couple guys up that I think can really, really play. That we have in our organization that are down there getting G League minutes. I think they're hungrier players, so they would be more productive players than what we're seeing right now. Kendrick Nunn is not, he ain't up to par, man. And he's played a pretty good game today. This wasn't his worst game. He hit a couple threes, was aggressive. But I can't deal with what I'm seeing and struggling. And the basketball IQ struggles are overwhelming for me. I grow tired, very tired of poor shot selection and just bad decision making. I don't fare well with that as a fan. I've watched too much high level basketball over the years. It's tough when I see a guy doing stuff that I wouldn't do with a controller in my hands. On the basketball floor, I can't do it. So we're gonna have to move him. Damian Jones as well. He got moved. Sorry, those 2 players are not good enough to help us compete, man. And when they're down there, bad things happen. These are the facts, man. Facts over feelings. Bad things happen. I like Lonnie Walker, but Lonnie Walker is not a starting shooting guard in this league. He's not. He's a weapon. He can slash. He can attack, but he's not Malik Monk, y'all. that's not who he is. You know what I mean? That's not who he is. So we're going to have to push him back down the depth chart a little bit and use him to his strengths and keep going forward. I like Troy Brown. I really like Troy Brown. The defensive plays he put up, all that. But he's a limited player too. Let's be real. He helped us defensively, but his ball handling is going to need some work. He's a young player. I know he's young. In fact, he's younger than some of the other young guys. We got a lot of work to do with him. He's good. I like him. But we're asking him to do a little more than what he's capable of doing this soon in his career. He ain't there yet to be that kind of player that we need him to be. Austin Reeves, same thing. This is a bit early for what we're asking for. I'm a believer in Austin Reeves. You guys know that. But he's going to have to work on his handle a great deal before he's ready to take on the responsibility we're asking him to take on. He's got to get better in some areas. He's going to get stronger and more conditioned before we can get him ready for what it is we're asking him to do. I mean, this is the issue up and down the roster, you guys. This is about everybody not named Ron Nady. They're all limited in some very, very unnecessarily frustrating ways for our team to have them assembled together. You know, as I said, y'all know I'm a fan of Patrick Beverley. But I do not need to see this much of him anymore. I'm telling you. I'm not on the board with waiving him, you know what I mean? I'm not saying we need to buy him out. I think he needs to be a part of what we're doing. But this whole starting him, playing him 30 minutes, all that, no. That is not where he is in his career. We need to catch up to where he actually is at, man. 18 minutes. That's what we need to give him off the bench in key moments where we need to stop certain guys. You put him out there and you let him go to work. He gonna go to work. But this whole lining him up in the corner and asking him to slash and putting him in positions to where he's expected to score, that is just not where he's at, y'all. That is not what he can do for us. I'm telling you, Scottie Pippen, young Scottie Pippen Sr.'s son, the guy that played for the Bulls, the Scottie, we had his son on our team. And he's a limited player as well, to a degree. But I've seen what his strength is. He's attacking. He's looking to attack. He's somewhere in between a poor man's Jalen Brunson and a poor man's Josh Hart early on. That's where he's at. But he's better at finding the open man than those guys are. He's more of an actual floor general than those two players are. And I could argue he's a better defender than both of those players are naturally. And that's before he that's before he even starts his real development as a pro. This is who he is now. That ain't what he's developing to in my mind. I'm talking about the guy that we're putting on the floor. That's what he can give us. You give him the minutes that you're giving Patrick Beverley, and you're gonna get production. I promise you will. He gonna put up the stats that make you feel good about him having him on the floor. I know this. I've watched how he attacks. I know this. I don't have to even question it. I would give him the minutes, and I would take the cuffs off of him. I would expect mistakes, and I'd be okay with it. Same thing with Max Christie. We are too afraid with this organization right now. We are too afraid to play these young guys that we got in the back of our bench. We're too afraid to play them. And I'm not saying we got the highest level rookies, but in this era, look around. Everybody's playing their kids, bro. This is not the era to play old men. We're the only team left doing it. Us in Brooklyn, we're the only ones. Everybody else got their kids in regular rotation. We need to do that, man. We need to freaking do that. Max Christie had no business being a DNP tonight. None. We ain't doing nothing, coach. The game plan, all that you have in your mind that you want from these vets, it's not leading to victories, my friend. So my mind tells me that you got to develop the young guys, bro. That's it. Develop the young guys. Because when you send them to the G League, they're not playing against Carl Towns. They're not playing against Anthony Edwards. So while I love sending the guys to the G League, I'm not afraid to throw them into the fire, because that's the only way they're going to prove they can be pros. They go to the G League to practice to become pros, but you don't get the experience being a pro unless you're out there. And we missed opportunities because we want to play Pat Beverley. Because we want to, I think if Pat Beverley was running the team, he would agree with me. If this was his money on the line, I'm pretty sure he would agree with me. I listen to him talk, and he's one of the most reasonable people speaking when it comes to certain things like this. It's facts over feelings with him when I hear him talk. So I know he will agree when I say them young fellas are more equipped to do the heavy lifting than he is right now. And I think we have a better shot of sending them out there to do some of the things we're asking them to do. And if every one of our old guys had a guy like that on our team, I'm pretty sure they would all love to lean on them a little more. You think LeBron James wouldn't love to have a 6'10 guy, 250 down there to do all that punishment he was taking today? Golden State has a beautiful luxury up there. I don't know why Draymond want to knock out everybody on the damn team. He need to be appreciating where the hell he at. Them guys gonna keep years on your career, bro. You being stupid, not appreciating that. LeBron James got it backwards, want to play with old men. You see what he's going through? That boy was going crazy down there, laying on the floor because he couldn't get no calls, banging around with players. At one point, I was tired for him. He had just got through being in a scrum where he was jumping around, punching around, doing all kinds of stuff. And then the very next play, he had to bang up against Taurean Prince. I'm like, what the hell? He just got through banging up against Jaden McDaniels. Now he got to bump up against somebody 20 pounds heavier than him on the very next play. It's like, this man's 38 years old in December. Genie, you're asking him to do too much. And why is that? Because of our affinity for players that cannot do for us what we're paying them to do for us. Straight up. Anthony Davis needs to be turned into a bunch of pieces and picks right now. Like literally, right now. And I'm not saying this because I don't believe in Anthony Davis. I ain't saying that because I think it's smart to let somebody like Anthony Davis lead your organization. I'm saying it because we're in no man's land going nowhere fast. This is headed nowhere. And you know what happens when things are headed nowhere? People get hurt. I'm saying trade him while we still can before he breaks down for good and we can't get nothing for him. This is where we are. I ain't lost faith in Anthony Davis. In fact, I've gained respect for what Anthony Davis is doing since these last 4 games started. I have more faith in Anthony Davis. I ain't got nothing to do with that. He's the only thing that can net me anything. He's the only player I can get anything for. The rest of these guys can't net me nada. And I need something now. Like right now, 0-5, no picks. We're literally about to turn the New Orleans Pelicans into a dynasty, y'all. There's a decent chance that we're going to actually do that by giving Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, Victor Wembanyama. Can you imagine that? Zion Williamson's the most coveted superstar since LeBron James. They already got him. And they actually have a chance to get the other most coveted player since LeBron James. Because of us. And this Anthony Davis trade. We're ready to trade Anthony Davis. And that trade is going to haunt us, potentially past his tenure here. That's how stupid mortgaging your future actually is, ladies and gentlemen. May we all learn this lesson. May the Lakers fall on this horrible sword for the league to learn the lesson. I don't know what Genie's going to do. I don't know. But I can tell you this. We're 0-5. And it's going to get a lot worse in terms of what people are going to be talking about. This is the calm before the storm, ladies and gentlemen. It's sad because, like I said, guys played hard, careful. The first half, they tied it up. They hit threes tonight. They got a little better, only shot 28 threes. Hit a higher percentage, so you can see we're getting better. Incrementally from the behind the arc, I'm seeing what I want to see. Slowly but surely bringing it down. Still on pace. Still on the pace. I said I want to see us get to 18. Judging by what I saw tonight, I think 18 actually may be too few. I think I need to up my expectations for what makes sense for our team for 48 minutes. Probably more like 22, 24 three-point attempts. I'm going to raise up what I think is reasonable based on what I saw tonight. 18 gives us too much punishment. You got too much physical contact taking place in the paint when you shoot that few three-point shots from what I saw. I felt comfortable with us taking 15 and a half, maybe ending with 30, depending on how we're shooting it. If we can cut it down even further to where we were tonight, I think that's okay. I really do. I think it's okay if we... Yeah, I'll give it some more thought, but I thought our three-point shooting was fair for what we want to be. I'll say that. Fair. We tied their field goal percentage. I don't think we're hitting inside as much as we'd like to, but a lot of that is scared by the fact that they had real good rim protection tonight. Shout out to Jaden McDaniels. Had a bunch of blocks. Bunch of them. Also, D'Angelo Russell had fantastic defensive stats. I think he had like 6 steals. There's a lot of guys who played defense tonight. There was somebody else who really lit it up defensively too. I'd love to give him credit. They're not coming to mind. But it was one of them players that had like 3 steals, 2 blocks or something like that. I don't remember. But shout out to the defensive side. Just for both teams really gave it their all. And as I told you guys, we can't play with the cat-like quickness of D'Angelo Russell. Even though he's not a defensive player, I have not forgotten how gifted he is with his reaction timing and his hand-eye coordination. He's gifted. So he was able to kind of have that on display tonight with the 6 steals. So, yeah, it was just one of those games, man. I felt like the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't play incredibly well. They missed a lot of shots. But, Rudy Gobert just took care of business. When you bring in a guy like that and you mortgage your entire future for a guy, you want to see him take advantage of nights like this where there's nothing in between him and production. It's just nothing. We might as well have been 4-5 out there with him in this situation because he really didn't have to deal with much. And it's just, as I said, I love the fact that we played Wenyen Gabriel tonight. Hopefully our coach sees the fruit in playing him. He had the best plus-minus anyone on our team tonight. And I think the most of what was going right for us was just injecting him into the lineup. I think bringing Russell Westbrook off the bench was a good thing. I thought we saw good things in that way. If Russell's up for it, and he has the same type of attitude about it as he had in this game, I think he'll buy himself an opportunity if he just puts his head down and does this for about a month without any incidents. Do what you did tonight every night for about a month, and you will win people back over. I truly believe that, but you're going to have to do this for a very extended period of time, and it's going to have to be good, man. It's going to have to be good. I thought tonight was all right. Sad in the end. Still him making mistakes, but I thought his approach was what ultimately pissed me off more so than the actual production or lack thereof. It's just the approach. When you show me you don't care, I don't like that from nobody, whether it be Bron or Westbrook. And I saw that from both of them in the last 2 games. I didn't see that tonight, though, and I'm happy about it. I thought both of those guys came out somewhat humble by what kind of last couple of days, I guess, this has been for them. And I felt like they came out with the intent of trying their very best to get the victory. And I thought a lot of that was outside of our control. Anthony Edwards was a superstar tonight. He was a damn superstar. Let me just call it out. Ant-Man was the best player on the basketball floor, in my humble opinion. Obviously, Rudy Gobert did all kinds of stuff that was very easy to do when you are 7'2" and have the skills that he has. But Ant-Man was why they won. He was picking apart everybody we put in front of him. He was hitting long shot after long shot after long shot after long shot. And you just understood that you were in the presence of a young Michael Jordan. And every time I see him, that's what comes to mind. It's like, look, there are a couple players in this league who you go up against, and depending on how much talent you have on your team, you really don't feel like you ever got a chance. He's one of them. He's definitely one of them. And when you look over at him and you know he's on the other side and the ball is in his hands, you understand that you could play great defense. He still hit the shot. And then he come back down there and do it again. He's just that great. So I felt like a lot of what the Lakers may want to hang their head about really ain't nothing to hang your head about, because when you isolate this basketball game, you just understand that we played hard and got outclassed by a better team. With superstars on the other end, and we were missing one of ours. So that's what I saw. I really don't think this is a game that you say, oh my God, this is it. The Lakers are the worst thing in the world after watching this game. It's when you couple the other 4 losses on top of it that make it what it's about to be. But this game itself, it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. You just understood that we just got to revamp some of the talent on this team, and we got to do it fast. And that's the thing. It's about how fast do you fix the problem. Are we going to now turn around and put Damian Jones and Kendrick Nunn back on the floor the same way we did tonight for them to struggle in the same ways, or are we going to learn our lessons and try different things? You know, that's the question for this team. It's like we're incrementally getting better at certain areas, but we're also incrementally getting better at worse at others. Like, okay, what's up with the turnovers? We've been a good turnover team as of late, but we turned the ball over 22 times tonight. That's Frank Vogel Laker numbers. That ain't how Darvin Ham's Lakers has been doing it. So I thought we took some steps back in that regard. You know what I mean? So it's just little things. It's like, okay, we're focusing on some stuff, but we're forgetting about other stuff. And the most important thing to understand when your team is not very talented is the guys who are not very talented are the guys you do not play. The least of the talented are the least of the minutes. And you just got to live with what comes with that. And that's what I think we've mistaken with our team. We're still trotting players out there that we know can't play that well, man. And I just think that that's the next order of business. So that's what it is. I don't think Russell Westbrook did anything to hurt himself. Obviously, my opinion is that we send him home. But, if we're not going to send him home, I want to see him play like this. And I want to see behavior like this. You know what I mean? If he can do this, I'm cool. So I thought he was an asset to the team tonight. I thought he gave it his all. I thought there were some mistakes made, but not too many. I thought he did more good than bad. And I thought it reflected in what we saw. But, we cannot have guys trying to do stuff that they're not able to do. I saw guys trying to do things outside of their barrel, man. So outside of what it is that they're capable of. Trying to, just put a little pizzazz on certain plays. Try to emphasize a certain pass this away or that away. I hate to be the guy that says this way, but when you don't find yourself to be overly talented, you really have to keep it very simple for yourself. Because when you try to do too much, just by sheer nature, because you're not very talented, it's going to be a mistake. And that's a hard pill to swallow. It ain't an easy thing to hear. But guys who are not that great need to keep it very simple for themselves, because you're going to make mistakes where other super talented guys just can kind of get away with improvising a little better. Unfortunately, guys like us, we got to really, really, really respect those fundamentals. And I just feel like when that doesn't happen, bad things happen. And we saw a lot of that tonight from guys. Just be yourself, man. And I think it's up to Darvin Ham to point out where he sees those players doing that, and helping them understand where they need to cut it out. So yeah, man, mental stuff, IQ stuff, intelligence stuff. We have got to become more intelligent. I don't know if that means extracting certain players and bringing others in, or the coach is working harder and being more patient with guys. I don't assume to have the wisdom for that, but I just want to see the team get smarter. That's really where I'm at with that. I'm just not seeing enough smart basketball play out there, both from the game plan, and the choices of the rotations, and then some of the stuff that the players are doing once they get out there. It's just not. We must get smarter. So that's pretty much where I'm at, man. Rob Pelinka, you got work to do, bro. My patience with you isn't where it needs to be because of the short-term circumstances of what we're looking at, but also know you're playing a different game. I'm just hopeful that you have something really, really big in the tuck. That's what I'm saying. I'm hopeful that you got something, because if you don't have anything, that's not acceptable, and it's not going to be a pretty conversation being had about you if something like that doesn't come about this season. If we go this whole season, it was never no trade ever, or if it was never any opportunity for us to truly get better and we were just sitting on our hands while this was going on, I will want Rob Pelinka fired. I will want that. And LeBron James leaves talking about they just didn't do right by me. If that's the story, he can't be a part of the next rebuild. He can't be a part of that. I'm a cold Laker fan, man. I'm a cold Laker fan because I've seen many eras. I lived through the Sacre era. I lived through great eras too. Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, Shaq and Kobe, Powell, B.I., and Ball, all of it. I've seen it all, bro. So it's nothing to get guys up out of here. When I had Shaq, a printout of Shaq on my wall that came in the LA Times. You had to buy LA Times all week long to put together the Shaq poster. Stood 7 foot, just like him. When we traded Shaq and I ripped that off my wall, I understood that I would never be attached to any other player on this team in that way. If you couldn't play, I could let you go. Because that was the hardest thing we ever had to deal with up until that point. Shaq being traded, you couldn't rationalize that making any sense. And for what we brought back, it was the worst thing ever. Having to rip that off my wall. One of the worst things I ever had to do as a Laker fan. And that was when I understood. Ain't nobody at all, bigger than the name on the front. Not O'Neal, not James, none of them. Nobody. Not Abdul-Jabbar, nobody. So if you ain't going to come through and play right, or if you don't want to be here anymore and have to move on, or if for some reason you sour to the organization, you mad at the Lakers and you got to push off, it ain't nothing to say peace out. You can't play, or you balling horribly, and you know what I mean, giving us all kinds of bad energy. It ain't nothing to say sayonara to anybody, coach, player, anybody. So I think it's time to say goodbye to some people, man. I think we are at a place where we're in no man's land. We're not good enough to win a championship. We don't believe a trade can make us good enough to win a championship. We're not bad enough, nor do we own our picks to be happy with our losing. So while we can continue to look at this team and talk about how we can incrementally get better and look at the details of the squad and say, well, what these players need to do and this, that, and the third, but the reality is I don't even want to be on the path with this team. I don't love this team like that. You know what I'm saying? Interior scoring, defense, I don't love that. That's not modern ball. I want long, wingy players like Wembanyama and Jabari Smith and Paolo Banchero and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't need this. This ain't what I want. I love this because I love the Lakers. But if it ain't for the colors in the uniform, it ain't nothing to watch. So, with that being said, blow this thing up. I know we can't trade LeBron James this season. If he wants to be a part of this thing, I'm happy that he is. But I don't want to be in a situation where we're waiting for Anthony Davis to get hurt, or waiting for Russell Westbrook to throw a fit and bust up the chemistry or something like that. No. Anthony Davis is one injury away from being useless to us, and we have to be real about that. If you can get a bunch of pieces that provide a future for him, it's time to do that right now. And the reason why the urgency is to do that is because our timeline is officially busted up. We're 0-5, and this season is not salvageable. Not realistically. Not if you consider what the field has control over in regards to themselves and their fate. We are not a good enough team to win a championship, and because of it, we need to reset this thing. My name is BDO44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.